सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जीओ। एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभउ निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप। आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच। गोबिंदे मुकंदे उदारे अपारे हरियं करियं निर्नामे कामे। गोबिंदे मुकंदे उदारे अपारे हरियं करियं निर्नामे कामे। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। Maharaj, today we're going to start from year 16 of Bhavarsamrit Granth. The translation that we're using here today is by Bhai Kamalpreet Singh Ji Pardesi. So Pandit Gulab Singh Ji starts off by saying, बैठ बधु कुछ कुंकम के सर तीखन सौ जो करे जग हाते. Now Pandit Ji is just telling us that if you had all of these luxuries in your life, one of the examples that he's using here is that if you had such females in your house, such beautiful women, or let's say your wife, and that they would rub saffron upon their breasts to shape them, make them more beautiful, and then their breasts were so sharp, similar to arrows, that they could destroy the whole world. आप समान जते सुत सुंदर या जग चुंडन चुंड सुहाते. That just how beautiful these women were, that if they were to give birth to sons who were equally as beautiful, and not just one son or two sons, ya jag chundan chund suhate, that this world, if this world was filled with crowds upon crowds of these beautiful sons, that there were so many of them there. Veer tatha gunvan maha pun mat pita sukh mein lalchate. That they were so brave, tatha, and or they were mahagunvan, that they were very virtuous, they had many merits, many qualities. Pun mat pita sukh mein lalchate. That the only thing that they were greedy for was to provide happiness to their parents. That they were such virtuous kids that all they wanted was to give happiness to their parents. यो बिद या है पई तो कहाँ जब जानकी नाथ के रंग ना राते. That even if all this was to come true, that you had all these luxuries in life, that you had beautiful women, you had amazing children, you had amazing sons, and the only thing that they wanted was to give you happiness. Even if all this was to come true, so what if you were not deeply imbued with love with God, for God? Because the only thing that we know that provides happiness, everlasting happiness, is God, is the love for God, is prema bhakti. Pandaji goes on to say, जिनके रथ नेम दरारन ते सत सागर हैं अब लो जग माही. Pandaji is now telling us about the powerful kings, the powerful people that have been here, been on this earth and gone. So the first example that they're using is of a king named Priyabrita. Now, the story goes that the king Priyabrit, he loved his kingdom, he loved the people in his kingdom a lot. And he didn't like it when it would be nighttime, because he wanted his people to always be able to enjoy the daylight. So what he did was he created a chariot made fully covered with jewels. And it is said that he created it to the height of 12 yojans. So when I looked up yojan, it is said that one yojan equals from about 3.3 kilometers to about 15 kilometers. So he created one that was up to 12 yojans. That was the first chariot that he created. And it would illuminate so much similar to the sun that during the nighttime, it would be as if it was still daylight. However, when the sun saw it, because now it would still be daytime in the nighttime, and that's against nature, the sun, because the sun is so strong, he destroyed that chariot. But the king then, he got his architects to create another chariot, which was double the size of the first one. So this one was 24 yojans. And when that happened, then the sun with its heat destroyed it again. And now this went on up to 7 times. That 7 times the king Priyabrit, he created the chariot, and then 7 times the sun destroyed it, until the 8th time when the king created another chariot. And then the sun deity, he went on to Brahmaji and he made a prayer just saying that this is what King Priyabrit is doing and this is against nature, please help me out. So when Brahmaji heard this request, they went on to the King Priyabrit and they said that this is against nature, that this should not be done. And it was only then that King Priyabrit then stopped making the chariots and he let nature take its course. So Panditji is just giving this example to say that there was such a strong, such a powerful king who was able to do this, who was able to even defeat the laws of nature or defeat the sun in such a manner. The second example that Panditji is saying is Apan gochan ke balte sab sail bator tare tar mahi. So the second example that Panditji is giving is of King Prithu. Now, what happened, how the story goes, is that King Prithu, I believe the word Prithvi, which is the word for earth, was named after him because he ruled over the land. Now, Panditji says, Jin chapan gochan ke balte, that because of the strength of his bow and arrow, that he was such a powerful king, that at his time when he ruled the earth, at that time it is believed that the mountains had wings, so they could fly and land wherever they wanted to. So sometimes what would happen was the mountains will fly and then they would come and land upon the land that King Prithu was ruling, and it would cause distress to the people. It would cause a lot of destruction. So King Prithu, using his bow and arrow, he shot and cut the wings of these mountains, and then with his arrows he gathered all these mountains and placed them in one place. So Panditji is basically giving an example saying that there was this another king who was so powerful that they were able to do this. Sorry, just going back to the other one. Sorry, I told you the story, but I didn't really translate the line, the pankti. So Panditji, when he said "Jin ke rath name dararan te sat sagar hai ab lo jag mahi," that the chariot, Panditji was basically saying that the chariot that Raja Priyabrit had created, that they were so big, so huge, and so heavy that because of the wheels of of the chariot, that they were dents in the earth, and because of those dents is where the seven seas, the seven oceans were created, basically. And so the next pankti of Raja Prithu, that he was so powerful that he was able to cut off the wings of the mountains and gather them and place them in one place. Then Panditji goes on to say, Sur Raj dare jin ke balate. That there have been such powerful people on this planet that because of their courage, even Suraraj, even the king of the deities, which is Indra Devta, even he was afraid of them. So the examples that are given here is of Ravan and Ravan's eldest son, Meghnad. So the story goes that Meghnad, he was so powerful that he had defeated Indra Devta and he had brought him back to Lanka with him, where Indra Devta had to work as his servant, as his gardener. And then the example, the next pankti, Yamraj jite jihne jagmahi. And then the one who had won over Yamraj, who was the king of death. So it is said that Ravan, he ruled over the three loks, or the three realms. And he had once this fight with the king of death, Yamraj himself, because he had heard that there was obviously going to be a day when he was going to die. So he decided to go and fight against Yamraj. And when that happened, there was a huge battle that took place. But in the end, because Brahmaji had given a boon to Ravan that he wouldn't die, so then when Yamraj was going to kill Ravan, Brahmaji had to go to Yamraj and tell him that I have given him this boon, and that if you kill him, then all the realms of this world will have to die, because you cannot go against my boon. So then Yamraj had to accept defeat, and then Ravan won. So then Panditji is saying that Ravan was so strong that he'd even won over the king of death himself, and that Ravan used to tie Yamraj to his bed, to the foot of his bed. Panditji goes on to say, Manate jag pitar nahe rahe, ab aur rahe kaho ko jag mahi. Panditji is telling us to talk to our minds and convince ourselves that all of these powerful people who have been to this earth, even they have come and they have gone. None of them have been able to stay here, even though they were so powerful. So they are telling us, who are we to be so proud of our own selves that we, compared to all these kings, all these people, we are nothing. But yet we have so much pride within us that if even they couldn't stay here, then who are we? Panditji then goes on to say in the next vaya, Das char so paun rache jinke ik aahe bali pav mandal mahi. Das char meaning 10, char meaning 4, so 10 plus 4 is 14. That the one who created the 14 realms, that there is such a bali, such a strong, courageous person in this, a powerful person in this world. And obviously the first example given is Brahmaji is the one who created the 14 realms. That there is Brahmaji, or the other example that's given is King Prajapati, who had created many cities and many types of objects. That there have been such powerful people who were able to even create the 14 realms, the 7 above and the 7 underneath. जिन जे दस चार सुपौन बलि एक त्याग गए तृण ज्यों तर माही. That they have been such great powerful kings who with their strength have defeated the 14 realms and they have ruled over the 14 realms. But then after that, there have also been kings that they won over and ruled the 14 realms, but then they left it as if it was trin, as if it was just a blade of grass, as if it was nothing. दस चार सौ पौन को भोगत है एक एक है राज करे जग माही. That there are such powerful kings in this world who enjoy the rule of the 14 realms, but then there are also who enjoy the rule of individual countries. 10-20 ग्राम को राज लहे नर क्यों गर्भ अपने उर्माही. Pandaji is telling us that you could maybe rule over 10-20 gram, like 10 or 20 villages that you rule over. Then within your heart, why do you have so much pride when there have been kings who ruled over 14 realms? And for us today, let alone 10 or 20 villages, we probably only rule over our own house, maybe, or even if we have that, unless sometimes we even like renting them. So what is it really that we're so proud of? Panditji is telling us. Panditji says, Re man chanchal tu sada bhajyo na har ko naam. Chanchal meaning something that doesn't stay still, something that's always moving. And he's saying, he's addressing to his own mind, to our minds, saying that my mind, it's so chanchal, it never stays still, it's always moving, it's always chasing after one thing to the next. That you've never meditated upon God's name. Raheo vishay laptant hi. That you're always engrossed, you're always laptant, meaning something that you cling to. That we always cling to the vices, things that we want to do, things that senses make us do. But what happens? Jai hai jam ke tam. When this happens, when we stay engrossed in Maya, at the end, what happens is we just go to the realm of Yam, to the realm of the king of death. Pantaji says, Tan is dayo jag pitar jo. Bin buddh gaye na kachu phal pai. That everything that was given to you by God in this world, all the tan, all the wealth that was given to you, without having a superior intellect, without being intelligent, you wasted it all, na kachu phal pai, and you couldn't get any merit out of it. All the money that was given to us, all the wealth that was given to us, we could not use it for the betterment of other people. And in the end, we've just wasted it all. For example, if I had some money and then instead of doing something nice for somebody else, instead of giving it to somebody who needed it, I wasted it on shopping. And in the end, in like a month or 2 months, all the things that I actually bought have now gotten old and I have no use for them. And I've just wasted things like that. So without actually having a pure intellect, everything that is given to you, even our body, we could not use it in service to others. It's just all going to waste. Sub santan ki nah seva kari, that you did not serve the holy saints. Ar bipran te nah yag karai. Bipran meaning Brahmins, that you did not appoint Brahmins to do sacred rituals for you in your name. Nah koop khane jal het kabhi, that due to not having a pure intellect, you did not do anything good for others, and hence, nehku pakhane jalhet kabhi, that you did not dig up any wells so that others could use them to drink water. Tar pitar na jal tal banaye, that within this earth, you did not create any ponds so the people and the animals could come there and get water. Balheenan ko dukhadan daye, that let alone giving something good to other people as charity, all that you gave in charity was balheenan ko dukhadan daye, that the people who had no strength, no power, all that you gave to them in charity was dukh, was sorrow, was suffering. Neh deenan ke dukh dur mitaye, that you did no effort to rid the poor of their suffering. Instead you just gave them suffering in charity. Pandaji then goes on in the next Savaya to tell us that what kind of intellect should we have, what kind of person should we aspire to become. So they're now telling us the 4 different types of people and their characteristics. Pandaji says, apne hit tyag kare par ko hit, te nar uttam hai jag mahi. So what type of person is the best person in this world? Pandaji saying, apne hit tyag kare par ko hit, that what was supposed to be beneficial, what was supposed to be good to me, if I give that up for the betterment of somebody else, then that would be the best person in this world. That I could sacrifice my own self for somebody else. The second type of person is apne hit sang kare par ko hit, nar ahe saman wahi pav mahi. What's an average person in this world? Not the best, but a good person is apne hit sang kare par ko hit, that along with doing something that could be beneficial to me, I would also do something that would be beneficial to somebody else. That's an average person. That's a good person. Apne hit naas kare par ko hit, raakas hai narte jag mahi, that who is the worst person in this world, who's a really bad person, sorry, not the worst yet actually. Rakas is like a demon. So who is a demon in this world is apne hit naas kare par ko hit, that if I was to destroy somebody else's happiness so that it could benefit me, that would be a demon. That would be a very bad person. Pinahi apne hit naas kare par ko hit, te nar kaun kahahi. Pandit is giving an example of this one person who could not even be called a human being. And who is that? Binahi apne hit naas kare par ko hit, that without it being even beneficial to me, if I could destroy what could be beneficial to somebody else. For example, if I was so jealous of somebody else that even if it brought me no benefits, I just maybe slandered somebody else. If I did something bad, if I did something mean to cause destruction to somebody else, even when it did me no good, then that person, Panditji is saying, can that person even be called a human being? So Panditji is basically saying that the best person in this world is the one who would even give up their own happiness so they could bring happiness to somebody else. Pandaji goes on to say, Tan pavan ko je jahaj saje, bin pagan ta jal sindh dubai. That we could try our best to create wealth, to gain material in this world. So the first example that they were saying is, if I wanted to gather wealth and I had a ship, and then I was to send the ship across the waters to other countries to do import and export, let's say, bin pagan te jal sindh Dubai. But if I didn't have great karma, if I didn't have that pag, then what would happen is that ship that I thought would go to other countries and bring back goods, that ship would drown in the ocean, in the seas, in foreign lands. That you need great karma, that you need the karma, the pralabdha karma, the karma from this lifetime, from the previous lifetimes, if you're supposed to get anything in this world. That without that, no matter what efforts that you make, they would mean nothing. So khane boh baran poom kani tar te neh ek virakat pai. There are on many occasions that you could dig up this earth as people have buried their wealth within the ground, which you hope to obtain. However, you have not been able to find a small coin, let alone treasure, that you could dig up this earth and you could try to find the wealth, you could try to find gold and all that. But if you don't have great karma, then let alone treasure, you could not even find a coin. नृप के तार आयुध सेव करे फिर संगर माहे सुअंग तुड़ाई. That, for example, if I was to serve a king with the itcha, with the desire that the king would give me so much wealth, so now I could hold weapons and I could fight in the king's army to serve the king, and then I could even go to the battlefield. But if I didn't have great karma, instead of me hoping that the king would give me something in return for being so brave, for fighting for him, all that could happen was maybe in the battlefield I would lost my limbs and still the king wouldn't give me anything. Ved lo keh lo jab daur phire phal pavat na bin pag sahai. That if your great karma would not support you, if you didn't have great karma behind you, that a person could run from this world to Brahma's world, to the realm of Brahmaji, and then come back. And from here to over there, you could not gain anything at all if you didn't have great karma behind you. दोहरा बिन पाग जग सुख कहाँ मोख कहाँ नर होए. Pandaji saying that if you didn't have good karma within this world, then how could you obtain happiness? How could you even obtain liberation? That without good karma, without doing good deeds, that you can't obtain anything in this world. Pog mokh nar jo chahe pun kamawe soe. That if you want pog, the materials of this world, or mokh, which is liberation, that whoever wants these two, pun kamawe soe, that person should commit positive actions, should do karma that is virtuous. सवैया कर पीतर हेम पंडार परे मुक्ता फल की गज पीठ अंबारी. Pandaji saying that the individual who has within his house possess treasures of gold and a harvest of pearls which are placed upon the back of an elephant. That if you were so rich that within your home you had gold and pearls and you had elephants whose backs were decorated with pearls. जस चंद कियो उजियार चहूं चक नूतन है तन रोग निवारी. That a person whose fame was to illuminate chahun chak, the four directions, that the fame would be as luminous, such as the moon, that it was spread in all four directions. Nutan hai tan rog nivari, that the body was like new and then it was without disease. Rat ke sam sundar au hit karan nar tatha gunsil udari, that their wife was as beautiful as Rati, which was the wife of Kamdeva, and also that they were virtuous. And seal meaning somebody who is of a cool temperament. Krit pun bina yeh aahe kaha, vid punnan neer rachi phulwadi. That if you want, Panditji is saying that if you wanted all those beautiful things, that without great karma, how can you obtain any of this? So Panditji is saying that with punnan neer rachi phulwadi, he's giving an example that if this world was a phulwadi, like a garden, and then the pun, the great actions, the virtuous actions were like water, that you would use that the water of virtuous actions to water the garden of happiness, of the things that you wanted in this world, that you would use virtues to obtain anything that you wanted. Savaiya roop phale neh joop phale jan mangat peekh phire jag mahi. Panditji is saying that in this world, you could be as beautiful as it could get, but there are two things that you actually can't obtain anything from beauty, rupa phale, neh jupa phale, and the wealth that you obtain from gambling. That even if you have them, nothing's actually going to come out of them. The example that the example that's given is Sri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, when he freed the 52 kings who were serving life sentences. So even though they were kings and they had all this money and they were kings, but it didn't serve them at all, that they were still in prison. Through gambling, you obtain fruit. For one day, you might win a small coin, and the next day you lose your home. In that manner, the Pandavas gambled, and due to that, they lost everything. And if you are to state that the Kauravas obtained fruit through gambling, as they won everything from the Pandavas, however, later on, they were also left with nothing. During the battle of Mahabharat, all their enemies were destroyed, and not one member of Kaurav was left alive. So even they'd won over everything from gambling, in the end, they were left with nothing. So now, people with beautiful forms, along with those gamblers within this world, are now begging others for food. Chaturta pujko baljo, veh nahe phale pikhiye jag mahi. Panditji saying that within this world, I've seen that the individual who possess great cleverness, within the intellect and within the arms possess great strength will also not be able to obtain fruit. That you will be able to witness in this world that those who possess great ideas in intellect wander around empty-handed, and those who have great strength within their arms are witnessed to be seen incarnated within prisons. That you could be as clever or as powerful, but you could still lose in this world. मूर्ख कातर चातर वीर सो सेवत हैं कुल लाज बिनाही. Panditji saying that I've seen that the people, the great intellectuals, are fools who become the servants of those who lack comprehension, and the great warriors fill the water for those who are cowards. So in this world, we've seen that somebody, even though they're so intellectual, could be serving who's a complete moron. But then there's also great warriors who could be serving somebody who is an absolute coward. And then they become without dignity for their own lineage when they serve such people. That all of this is possible in this world. और phale नह को जग में कृत पुण्य phale धर्म ज्यों माही. So the word that's missing here in the English translation is rit. So the pankti goes और phale नह को जग में कृत पुण्य phale धर्म ज्यों rit माही. Panditji saying, okay. So Panditji saying that nothing else actually nothing actually works in this world except for earning virtuous karma. That the virtuous karma, it blossoms in this world as if the trees blossom in the season of spring. So Panditji's in these couple of years is really focusing on telling us is to serve others, is to use what's been given to us, this tan, man, tan, this body, this wealth, everything that Maharaj Vaheguru has given us, to use it all in the service of others. One of the examples that Manpita Biji gave me was he sent me a paragraph from something that he read, and he said that the purpose of our human body is to serve others, is to use whatever we have in the service of others. And if we don't use that, we get reincarnated into the lower life forms, such as that of a tree. That if in this lifetime I was not to serve others, then if I was to come back as a tree has to serve others in every way. It has to give out oxygen, it has to give out shade, it has to give out fruit, and even in the end when it dies, it has to give out its own wood to be able to serve others. So in that way, if you don't basically serve others, eventually you'll be forced to do that. So Hanji, that's all for today's class. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Lovely class, loved it today.
Thank you.